Hello and welcome to This is Politics. My name is Justice Malala and my partner and co-host is Mondli Makanya. It's a busy week ahead. Finance Minister Ino Godongwana delivers his much anticipated budget speech on February 25th. You'll remember last year he had to cancel the speech. He had to cancel it twice, actually, because he did not have consensus from his GNU colleagues and he wanted to increase VAT. But it's still water everywhere. We are going to delve into this for a bit, and we'll also talk about the decision by the U.S. Supreme Court to strike down Donald Trump's tariffs, ruling they exceeded his presidential authority. The ruling could require the U.S. to refund $175 billion collected from the tariffs. Before we start, and we're going to have a fast-paced, short show today, please don't forget to visit us on YouTube on our handle at This Is Politics SA. Follow us on X or Twitter and Instagram, and please click on that little bell on your screen to subscribe to our channel. Most importantly, tell everyone about this wonderful baby we have here called This Is Politics, and it gives me great joy to say we are growing. We have more than 1,000 subscribers. Just keep telling everybody about it, because we want you to come along with us and be friends and colleagues as we work together. Mondli, I wanted to talk about the water situation. It's obsessing me, what's happened with water in this country. It's obsessing me that you and I sat here 3 weeks ago, and we talked about Melville, where there was no running water. We spoke about so many other suburbs of this country where there was no running water. But you go further and you say, what's going on here? And the picture nationally looks pretty dire. And you know, I remember last year, Mayor Dada Morero going to talk to residents in the western townships of Johannesburg, saying, you know, you'll have water in 7 days, and there was no water. Today, 3 weeks after that whole, everyone getting excited and saying, we want the water now, and people like Panyaza Lisufi, the Gauteng Premier, saying, no, I'm also inconvenienced, I have to take a bath at a hotel, that there's still no running water in many taps across Johannesburg, across the country, and so forth. And so I wanted to go back and examine two things, if you'll allow me.
You are definitely allowed.
The first one is how we make announcements as a country, as a government, and then we just totally don't say what is going on with this announcement. I was impressed, and I thought, yes, you're dealing with the issues. President Ramaphosa announced a water task team that he would lead himself, that would report to him on February 12th when he gave his State of the Nation speech. And I was taken aback last week when I saw Paul Mashatile, who was appointed to lead another water task team last February. And so he arrives in Gauteng last week, and there he is with Panyaza Lisufi, the Premier, Dada Morero, the Mayor of Johannesburg. And I'm thinking, what are you doing here? Because the President has announced a different task team to deal with the water. Dada Morero, as we've spoken on this show, has what do we call it? He's got the bomb squad. These are people who are helping him do his work. There is a fourth team, an emergency task team that also was appointed by the President. So you have all these people helping Dada Morero do his job, and Dada Morero is not doing his job. So the first point for me is, who is Imagine if you got on a plane. You travel a lot. You get on a plane. A man of your stature. You walk into the plane. You turn left, unlike the rest of us turning right to economy. You turn left.
I don't know what the stature is here. I'm just a lowly newspaper man, just too similar.
Who knows with the lowly newspaper men and women. But you get there, and there are 4 teams of pilots saying, no, I'm flying this thing. No, I'm flying this thing. Oh, I'm flying this thing. Who's flying this thing? Who's dealing with this problem? And I think that is the beginning of it. Over the past 4 weeks, I've become so obsessed with this water issue and how we got here. And I think part of the problem is the lack of accountability, lack of taking responsibility. That who am I now going to say, you are responsible for this? I think Cyril Ramaphosa and the people of South Africa should find a way to say, if a task team takes over Mondli's job, then Mondli should be fired. Why is there a bomb squad helping Dada Morero do his job? He's not fit for the job. So he should just say thank you and go. But he's not going. Why is it there's a task team now doing John Steenhuisen's job of providing vaccines to farmers across the country, and 1 million arrived the other day? John Steenhuisen should be fired. He's not doing the job that he's supposed to be doing. Same thing with all these other task teams that we have. They're doing Mondli's job, but Mondli is sitting there, and there's his big fat salary, and he's enjoying it. We can't continue like this. If a task team is appointed to do my job, then I should just say, thank you, Bafowethu. Let me go. But the big point I wanted to make is this. When you go back into the political history of this country and say, what happened with water? I went and did a bit of Googling, and I was taken aback by the story of what happened in 2015. At the time, President Jacob Zuma says, we are losing too much water in South Africa to leaks. 7 billion rands worth of leaks a year. We got to stop it. So he says to the Minister of Water Affairs at the time, Nomvula Mokonyane, says, deal with this matter. She calls a big press conference, makes a big announcement and says, we are taking 3 billion rand, bringing it into Water and Sanitation Department. We are going to spend it on closing the leaks in Gauteng so that we save on this water, and that's the end of our problems.
They even declared, what is it? They had a title for it, the War on Leaks. Yeah.
It's very Trumpian.
Very
the
dramatic.
War on leaks. 3 billion rand, Monty. They said we're going to train 15,000 young people who will be walking up and down the streets of Joburg, young plumbers ready to fix and do this thing. It was an absolute disaster. A minister sits there and says, 3 billion is here, and we say, who's going to do the work? And we say, Duncan's going to do the work. But Duncan has never trained plumbers before. And he says, yeah, how much is the tender? It's like 100 million. So he puts in his papers, gets the 100 million, but he doesn't even have classrooms. Let alone the technical equipment that, this is what a toilet looks like. This is what you have to tighten the screws and da-da-da. No, he doesn't even have desks. He gets the money. He gets money and walks away. No training done. Justice is waiting there. I'm going to be a plumber. No, you're not going to be a plumber because Duncan is not going to train you. Same thing across. It happens again and again and again. Where are the 15,000 plumbers who are supposed to be tightening the screws on all these pipes and stuff. Nowhere to be found. Allegedly, 6,000 were trained, but we haven't seen them just yet. So 3 billion down the drain, literally.
Literally. It is one of the most depressing things. Walking down the streets of Johannesburg, driving down whatever suburb or township, whatever, and regardless of where you are in this country, actually, every city, every town, and seeing that water gushing down, and it gushes for days and weeks.
It's very hard.
And you think, but there is no water in our taps.
Yeah.
And there's this water running down the
Yeah.
street. And we are being called upon to preserve water. We are being called upon, we keep getting reminded, South Africa is a water scarce country. We have to let it drain down from the mountains of Lesotho, etc., etc. There's constant talk about desalination projects and initiatives. And yet, the water that is in the system is just allowed to gush and gush and gush. So I just wanted to talk about, you're talking about all the various task teams and committees and war rooms, etc., around water. So I think one of the things is the big prize come November this year. And in fact, throughout the course of this year, because the local government election campaign is already on, the big prize is the great big city of Johannesburg. And the person who claims, or the party that claims Johannesburg, is going to be considered the winner of this election. And yes, Tshwane will matter, Ekurhuleni will matter, eThekwini will matter, and many other municipalities will matter. But Johannesburg is the place where it's almost like it's a national election. Yeah. And Johannesburg will be fought, won, and lost on water. That is going to be the big slogan around this upcoming election. Who failed us on water? Who's going to fix the water crisis? And already you've been hearing from the Helen Zillers of this world, from the Herman Mashabas, from many other what used to be called opposition parties. I don't know who's in opposition anymore these days. But anyway, the parties that are not the ANC are already making huge noises around water. And I think
I'm sorry to be facetious, but so who does the ANC send out to say we will fix this? Does it send Nomvula Mokonyane?
The ANC sends out bomb squads. And I think that's why you will find Cyril Ramaphosa making a big noise about it as well. He wants to be the person who's seen to have fixed the water problem. And I think his deputy, Paul Mashatile, also wants a bit of the action on that. I solved the water crisis. So water is the big political football at the moment, and it's going to be the issue for the next 8 months or so.
Yeah, when people insult you in politics, they say, why would you elect that guy? He can't run a tap.
Yeah, he can't.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Helen Zille, we are in the season for political stunts. And there she was in Lindbro Park, and she sat at this pothole, massive pothole, that had a pipe exposed and water gushing out, exactly as you described earlier. Water gushing out. And she sat there and said, yeah, I am enjoying, it's hot in Joburg, and I'm enjoying some dunking my feet in water. Oops, not. And you see this water gushing out and running down the street for kilometers on end, and you think, and so what you're saying is she gets it that water will be the thing, and she's just going to hammer it. I mean, you can see Helen Zille just going for it, hell for leather,
And it resonates. I mean, a few years ago, it would have been load shedding. But now, obviously, electricity is mostly on. I mean, like, we don't have load shedding anymore, but there are power outages. But water is a much more emotive subject because all of us need to wash, all of us need to cook.
Well, I mean, Panyaza Lissufi is okay. He can go to a hotel, unlike you or me.
Booking hotel room at some point in the past was a bit of a suspicious thing, but like we will give him that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. And over the next 10 months, we'll be talking a lot about the election, not just in Gauteng, but all across the country. I will be watching. I don't know if you know Mfuleni municipality. It's the municipality along the Vaal River. And so we talk about water in Johannesburg and so forth. You know, I think we forget places in this country. And the one that I constantly forget to talk about is Mfuleni. Mfuleni is Sasolburg, Sebokeng, Zamdela, that belt along the Vaal River. And one of the things about that belt is just how Mondli, since the mid-2010s, the water problems we talk about here are minuscule compared to there. In Mfuleni, there are places where there is sewage running down the street, not water, not clean water being lost, sewage down the street in Vanderbijl Park, in what used to be decent places. In fact, all places, the townships, the so-called formerly white suburbs, Mfuleni has collapsed.
I mean, like,
nothing's been done about it.
I mean, like,
you wrote about it a lot. But,
exactly. I mean, like, together with what is now Ekurhuleni, the East Rand, the Vaal was. Those two were the industrial hubs of South Africa. That was the beating heart of South Africa, of South African industry.
Sasol was big, anchoring there. The Eskom's power stations were along that line. It was, you know.
So when you think about Mfuleni, it is something like you now associated with. It is the worst, probably one of the worst run municipalities, most dysfunctional municipalities in South Africa, together with a place in the northwest called Idisobotla. That, I think, when you think of those two, that's basically, when you think misgovernance. But here we're talking, I mean, like, we talk water, we talk electricity, we talk potholes, we talk and so on. But those are issues of the lack of, I mean, it's a lack of governance. It's an inability of government, of those put in power, to run things, and which I think should lead us to asking ourselves, something like, what should underpin all of that? It is people not being accountable. And I think that should take us to a subject that's close to both our hearts, and we call the rule of law.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And you want to talk about this because the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Donald Trump's tariffs on Friday. We talk a lot about, the Supreme Court is in President Trump's corner because he appointed Kavanaugh. He appointed three of those justices, adding to people like Roberts, Thomas, who were already conservatives on the bench in the Supreme Court. So So big surprise all around, big shock. And he called a press conference immediately afterwards. And you have strong views on this, Mr. Mokonyane.
No, yes, indeed. I mean, what has happened over the past, how long has Donald Trump been back now? It's about 12 months or so, 12,
It's
14 months. Yeah,
it's 1 year, 1 month, and 4 days.
exactly. All right. In that period, the Supreme Court of the United States, known colloquially in America as SCOTUS, has basically been what some people would refer to as the judicial wing of the MAGA movement. The way they've bowed to Donald Trump's whims and allowed him to usurp power from other wings of government, allowed him to override what the power that belongs to Congress, the power that belongs to the power that basically to override agencies that should be making big decisions around various issues that are of very huge importance to the people of America. The Supreme Court has given him such a wide berth to do as he wishes. So what happened on Friday around the tariffs was huge. And the fact that it was a 6-3 decision and we had conservative judges saying, no, Mr. President, you do not have unlimited power. They reined him in. But that's important. So that is important, and the issue around the tariffs was important. But I think more important was his reaction to it. Yeah, because he immediately called an emergency press conference and he railed against the justices.
Yes.
No previous American president has ever done that. In a country that considers itself one of the preeminent upholders of the rule of law, and America has kind of like projected itself as the epitome of democracy. Presidents have always, even if they disagreed with what judges said, they've deferred and said, okay, sharp, we will abide. And they've respected the judiciary. This president has no qualms about just disrespecting judges. But what he did on Friday was basically, unfortunately, kind of like on a platform like this, you cannot use it. You cannot use terms, but like there was an F and a U that he basically used against the judges there. And I think that as South Africans, we have to appreciate the fact that regardless of who has been in power, our presidents, the political parties in power, ANC, even at the height of its power, when it was like close to 70%, it always has respected the judiciary. And Jacob Zuma was forced to bow before the judiciary when he was president, kind of like, and he had to abide by what the Constitutional Court ruled on Gandla. And
I want you to stop for a second, because I think you make an incredible, amazing point about, Donald Trump's reign has been these dangerous moments. And this one is you go for the courts, you go for the judges, but he doesn't just go for them. He says, I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country. He says they're very unpatriotic. Now, it's not that I disagree with you. It's you dare disagree with me, you're unpatriotic. So now you're treasonous. But he goes on, disloyal to our Constitution. Not you interpret the Constitution this way. Let's have the argument. You're disloyal. Then he calls them fools. and lapdogs. It's, you know, it's an embarrassment to their families. It's so. And he's saying this about Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch, who are conservative, and he says it's an embarrassment to their families if you that. It's basically you did not kowtow to me, and so the words you used with an F and a Y.
And a U.
So
Clearly, you're not a youth justice, Malala.
So tell me, Mondli, what does this mean for people like me? We've gone around for a very long time, and I don't know if this is fair, but it's, the rule of law. Every year, the CIA and the U.S. State Department mainly would issue its democracy outlook for the world and say, in South Africa, they respect the Constitution. The Constitutional Court is independent and is held in high esteem. How can a country where the president does this, says this, then judge South Africa and then go on and say, Burkina Faso is a military state? The idea of America is this.
But interestingly, now that you talk about the CIA's assessments, just about a month or two back, the Trump administration ordered the CIA to stop producing that assessment. I think it was called the CIA World Book.
Yes.
Yeah. Saying that it's not the place, it's not our place to be going around, it's a waste of money to be going around telling people how they should be conducting their affairs. Because what the CIA's World Book, I forget the exact term, the exact title of the thing, was that it would issue an assessment of the state of, as you say, the state of affairs in various countries. Is that country stable? Does that country, what's the state of human rights? What's the state of democracy? But so when it reported on Saudi Arabia, an ally of the United States, the CIA World Book would say this is...
They chopped up a journalist in their consulate.
They chopped up a journalist. They oppress women. They do this to people of various sexual orientations and so on. If they reported on Uganda, they would say 1, 2, 3. And they would say, and the Trump administration does not want to be in a place where it is judging its allies who are doing wrong things. Trump said it himself during the course of last year, that it's not our place telling people how to govern themselves. When it suits him, when it's Venezuela, he will say, no, this is a dictatorship. We want to crush you. When it's Cuba, yes, it's a dictatorship, we're going to crush you. But when it's Hungary, he's okay with it. When it's Saudi Arabia, they're okay with it. And I think that's one element. But then also it puts a spotlight on America's own conduct, on his own administration's conduct. Because you cannot be judging other people while ICE is busy beating people, killing people in Minnesota and other places, while your own administration is locking up children and committing gross human rights abuses in your own country. You cannot be judging other countries while you yourself are eroding democracy left, right, and center and undermining your own judiciary and your own rule of law. So I think that it's very self-serving.
Yeah.
But I think, so we say this a lot. We've said it on this show, and other people have said it on other platforms and other forums, that this is a hugely dangerous moment. And Donald Trump is the most dangerous man on earth, because He's proving to be an example of what many strong men and around the world, I mean, like, I don't know if there's something as a strong woman, but like it's mostly strong men around the world would, the idea of how to wield power without being held accountable. So he's proving that it's profitable
Yeah.
to run roughshod over your opponents and institutions and the rule of law and norms that we've all aspired to as a human race.
Mundi, can we finish off with one thought? And I'd like it from you because I'm not sure what my thoughts on it are. But you mentioned two things. When we were talking about the water issue, you spoke about the local elections towards the end of this year, probably in October. We'll see what the president says at some point. But there's another election, and that's on the 3rd of November, I believe. 3rd November, I believe, is the midterm elections in the United States. And that, I find myself, as you speak, it's who can act. And in South Africa, if you say, I've had enough of taps running dry, I've had enough of 4 task teams doing Dada Morero's job when he should be doing their job because he's paid for it. So you have a chance to say something and do something about that. And at the end of the year, when we go to local elections in Johannesburg, in your city, in your town, in your village, you will be able to say, enough of this, or I think you're trying, or I think you're doing well, and I'm going to reward you with my vote for that. The Americans have the same with the midterms on the 3rd of November. And my question about the South African electorate and the American electorate is that, do they appreciate the danger of the moment, the seriousness of what countries face, or are we going to do what we've always done? I've been an ANC voter all my life and do this. And I ask this question, when you say we shouldn't be having a day zero in this, talking about a day zero in this country, and you say, but in Cape Town they managed to fix water when they didn't have water, and that would be the leader of that, without a doubt, was Helen Zille. Are we 32 years down the line from when our democracy was born? Can we change things like that? Can the Americans say, yes, we voted for Donald Trump a year and a month ago? Maybe we made a mistake and we don't want children being detained by ICE. Are these meaningful? Will they be meaningful?
I think so. I think that in all indications are that there are a lot of Americans who are angry at what Donald Trump is doing, and like the moderate people, moderate Republicans and independents, who are angry at the extremity of what Donald Trump has been doing. So, and they do want to punish this administration. But then also, I think there are people more on the right wing of the Republican Party who are not so angry about the extreme things that Donald Trump has been doing. They actually appreciate it. But they're angry at the fact that he has not brought down the cost of living. And they may want to punish the administration for that, not for his political views, or not for the wrong things he has been doing, but because his tariffs have actually led to an increase in the cost of living. So there will be Judgment Day on, let's say, whether it's the 3rd of November, whenever the midterms are held. So I think he'll feel pain, and you can start to see the panic happening within the Republican Party around that. And I think insofar as Africa is concerned, think the South African people think there has been a maturing of our voter behavior. We've been seeing it 2016, the local government elections in 2016, 2021, in 2019, the national elections, 2021, the local government elections, and then finally in 2024 with the general election, there was definitely a message was sent to the ANC that you are on notice. So I think that a much stronger message will be sent to the ANC this November, which I think all of us assume that the elections are in November. And so I think
Mondli
our
Makanya, ever the diplomat. Mondli, the ANC is going to be killed in this election. It's going to be wiped out. It's going to be hit. The ANC is not listening. It's not looking at the signs. It's going to be in so much trouble. I think the ANC needs to really think hard. I think the ANC in Joburg, the ANC in Gauteng, is already at such dire numbers. It's looking bleak for the ANC. But I think the point you make about what does it look like when the ANC loses is powerful. So shall we stop there?
I think, yes.
It's been good. Please don't forget to visit us on www.youtube.com/@thisispoliticssa. Follow us on X or Twitter, as it's called, and Instagram. Please, please, please click on that little bell on your screen to subscribe to our channel. See you next week.